Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So hey man, so I wanted to ask you, what were you saying? You said you were gonna put a book together. You were publishing something.
Well, yeah. Well, most of all the information I give you has already been published, and I'm working on volumes now.
Right. Hey, so I want to ask you a question. Okay, so like we talk about the 1970s, right?
Uh,
And okay, in South Central LA, the 1970s. Like, what was the difference, in today's world between at that time back then that you were there? Like, how LA must was an incredibly different place.
well, we arrived here in 1964 out of Cleveland, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, and during that time, we was in the right in the heart of the civil rights movement. You know, with Martin Luther King and the Kennedys and whatever. They just signed the Bill of Rights um, deal, and we got further action, everything. So it was like progress for black folks coming from down south to the north to the west. So it was like a step going up. You know, we had further action, better schools, better housing, better education and everything. We had a little bit of equal rights there because of that deal between Martin Luther King and John F. Kennedy.
Did did you guys used to fight at the park? Did it like when you were growing up there? Like, did people fight at the park a lot? Like, take turns?
Yeah, we had fought the part. We had King Elementary School. King, well, by the time we got junior high, then we got into games. But elementary school, during that time, at the parks, we went to parks to swim and play baseball, play sports, and what have you. And on Sundays, the gangs that were before us, and the generation before us, during the civil rights movement in the mid '60s, were the Bears, the businessmen, and the Slausons, big little boys, and several others that were pretty active. But they, like I say, during that time, the civil rights movement was on. And so they were basically overshadowed. Black gangs were overshadowed. And here in Los Angeles, we were just in evolving to get to the quick era, which was the '70s.
What was there any beef back then with the Hispanic gangs? I wonder, like, when you look at like Florencia or some of the different gangs in South Central, it seems that they also had a presence at that time, in the '60s in South Central.
They did. They did. The White Fence was one of the oldest Spanish gangs in Los Angeles. And we pretty much stayed within our own. We didn't have any feuds with rivals with Spanish gangs in our era in the '70s. It was basically black on black.
Right. And you know what, man? I remember I was hearing a while back. I heard somebody saying that in the jail in county jail, Bloods couldn't even walk the main line until like
Yeah.
the 90s or something.
Because we outnumbered our rivals probably 50 to 1 back then. Because as you can't forget that we were part of the baby boom era of the 1950s and the '60s. So it was plenty of us. We used to mob and stroll to the streets to parties and social events by the '50s and '100s. So so matter of fact, our first rival as a West Side Crip, our first rival, our first arch rival with the Inglewood chain gang, which turned into the Inglewood family in generations afterwards. But it was always so many of us that they had to defend themselves by guns. Gunplay came through them defending themselves against us.
Right, because you were like you were basically smashing on them, and so they had to get some they had to have a gun to rival that.
Defend themselves, yeah, because we was taking their parks, schools, their communities, their neighborhoods, and everything. We was like very much drinks. They crippled down.
Hey, you said the legacy was taking over everything, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
What about OGT Rogers?
Well, T. Rogers came in the early '60s. Then we were going through the crip multiplication and turf ball.
and it seems like there was nothing that could really combat it because like they would take if somebody got in trouble at school for fighting, they would take them and put them in a different school. Then they would continue the legacy in that school of what you guys were doing. It spread like fire, pretty much, huh?
Right. That's what happened, and because that's how we did. We evolved during the times, from the civil rights movement, and we evolved as youngsters, like from the early '50s to the early '60s, because I was like 14 in 1971 when I first started ripping. So we were all youngsters, but we had elders, Raymond Washington and Stanley Tookie Williams, and a few more who were our elders, but we were more active, we were more young. We were in junior high school, and they was about ready to turn 17, 18, 19 years old,
Right. What is okay? I wanted to explain. I was trying to explain to somebody, like if you say this is something that even the gangs in Chicago they do it too. When you say you bang on somebody, when you ask them where they're from, can you like explain what that means? From your perception.
Well, actually, it just kind of when they bang on somebody now, they ask them where they're from. Are you a Crip or what? That's what it means back in our days, But now when they bang on, they ask them where they're from. Are we rivals or do we have alliance? Where you from? And that's what that means. But back in the beginning, in the original days, we knew where everybody was from. It was about the legacy. So they bang like sometimes they multiply. And that's how with the Crip multiplication and turf ball, with new name Crip turfs, spreading near and abroad. That's basically what movement that we was in the 70s.
Right. And you know what, man? I remember I was telling you last time, man. I went through a thing where I did a bunch of conspiracy research, and I got like targeted, man. I got targeted by like basically the government, and they were having people follow me everywhere. And yeah, and so I started approaching the people, and I would tell them my name and tell them like why it was happening to me and stuff. And they kind of went on the defense, like, damn, this dude isn't afraid. And I got that from watching the gangs, how the gangs bang on people. I said, well, if I applied the banging on them to what's happening to me, let me see what'll happen. And it changed. Like, you know how you see, how on movies you see the mob, like the mafia, like they'll wave at the FBI sometimes,
Right.
and it'll kind of throw the FBI off. Like they'll be like, damn, they'll be like, damn, he's supposed to be afraid of me, but he's waving at me.
Whatever, yeah, that is strange, very much so. Yeah, but nowadays, if somebody asks a gang member where he's from, he's like in violation, not telling them. You're supposed to represent your hood. Represent your turf.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He's in violation. But you know what though, man? It seems like there's a big difference from like the era you grew up in. Like you said before, there's definitely a generation gap. Because a lot of the guys now, is weird, man. Because a lot of these guys tell on each other quickly.
Yes, they do.
And back then,
They had it then too, but it's not so much now. Because one thing you can't too much blame yourself for being responsible for another person's action. Being that you were accessory to it. Reverend Washington called his first word in 1972 as accessory, and Raymond was not a shooter; he was a fighter. So there is a difference. So now
Right. Right. They even ask you. I think in a lot of jails, they even ask people as soon as they walk in there. They ask them if they're straight or are they gay.
Right.
Yeah. They ask them. Right. But the worst to me, the roughest gang is the police, because they don't have any no. They just whoop whoever's ass they want to whoop. Really.
Yeah, they are the biggest gang in Los Angeles. They are the biggest. They may not be the biggest as far as the ghetto gangs and what have you, but they are one of the toughest because they have the right to wear and shoot guns. You know.
Right.
Yeah, I'm most certain that they are one of the biggest gangs, if not the toughest. You know.
Right.
And it's supposed to be gangs.
Hey man, did you see that movie Colors when it came out?
Too many times.
What do you think of that?
As I've grown older, I understand it more. I understand our history more. As being a black man, I understand it better. I understand that there is a difference between being an African and an American African. So there is a difference. And really, to me, that was, it was like, seeing, somebody performing on stage with all white face and they were black. It didn't seem right to me. That's just like to answer me the question of what does justice mean to you? What it means to me is just them, because they control the laws, they control the government, they oppress us financially and civil and every other way you can try to explain how we're being depressed in the ghettos. It's all a reform.
Right. That, you know what tripped me out though, man? You there? You know what tripped me out again is that dude, Jameel Barnes. Well,
Yes.
they had him on a radio when they had him on that radio show talking about Tookie and all that stuff, and he was talking about how he was saying that he had trained Tookie to become a bodybuilder because and Arnold Schwarzenegger was gonna hire Tookie to be in a movie or something like that. The way he was talking that stuff, it sounded like he was tripping, man. The stuff he was saying.
Yeah, he went crazy and he was going that way in the 80s because it was on his shirt. They was under the influence of the shirt and they were active off of it as bodybuilders. You know what I mean? It didn't bother him. It didn't affect him. To lift weights and do all that and carry on the way he did as bodybuilders.
Hey, that shirt, that water's no joke, man. That water have people get naked all in the streets and stuff like that.
You had 21 poisons in it.
Yeah, but some of those females, I seen some females like not the water, but if they smoke dope, if they get high, if they smoke crack, as soon as they hit it, they take all their clothes off.
Yeah, that was the original crack.
Yeah.
The original crack. The original crack became in the 80s.
Yeah, that raw, huh? When I was younger, I had a friend, and his parents got high, and so all the dope boys would be over the house, and they would have different girls over there, and they would and if the girls smoked the dope, they would take their clothes off, and so I always thought that was crazy how they have off a little piece of dope they would do all that,
Yeah. It's designed. That's what it's designed for. Because when they came out with the drug, in that era in the 80s, things had changed up in the streets. People started going from middle class to multi-proletarian, like in the ghettos. Things had changed. It was like a promise. You do this, and I'll get you whatever you want. And then at the end, you end up dead, you're using it, or end up in jail.
I wonder, man. I wonder, man, how it happened with you remember Suge Knight?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how he was able when they had Death Row. Bloods and Crips in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how that was able to go down. Like,
Well, it's almost like the story of Donald Goins. If you agree with Donald Goins, the writer, he has a book called Trick Baby. Well, they took it, they re-edited and redone his novel, his book, and made it out of Trick Baby, how to keep a black man down, how to keep a nigga in the ghettos. So it seemed like they would give one black something, so he can drive 3 cars, nice homes, all that, and have all the other blacks, majority of the blacks hating on him. You got to turn him against them, and that's how they've been using us. That's the system, how they've been using us through drugs, guns, and everything else. I call it conspiracy of genocide against our race.
so you're basically saying like, so you're basically saying what happened at like, as far as the rappers go, that like they came together and that didn't happen, or
Well, they used them also as a tool,
right.
a tool of conspiracy genocide, to downgrade our women, to do all that,
Oh.
Talk about killing, studio gangsters,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. Then they brought the drugs in. They've been putting the drugs in the industry for years. Just ladies singing blues back in the 20s and 30s.
Right.
They've been putting drugs in. Yeah, they've been bringing that to us for the longest.
Yeah. So they were kind of pretending, like on one angle they were saying that they didn't want rappers to talk about gun stuff, but in actuality they really did, because it was creating more.
Yeah.
Right. It was creating more crime.
Yeah, people won't conflict. Yes, that's what they did.
Because
That's what they did.
back in your era when you were growing up, you would never hear of somebody on an album calling people bitches and stuff and hoes. That wouldn't have happened back in the '60s, would it?
No.
And so I wonder how do you think that happened, man? The music, like, how did they go from like the Temptations and the Four Tops and all that to people sitting up there talking about, bitches ain't shit and stuff? Like, how do you think it?
Because they was living off James Brown music beats and stuff like that. They would put their own rhythm to it. Someone like the Unreleased story. He has a son, he has a mother, and a father. Turn them against one another, divide and conquer. It was like one of those things. All those are tools of the conspiracy of genocide to be against the race.
That's really demonic, because they were taking the old.
Satanic.
Yeah, they were taking the old school beats that everybody grew up on, and then they were talking about killing people and bitches and shit all over the beat. So they mutated. They took the good energy and mutated it into like evil.
Yes, it's satanic. So you can't bring it on any color or race or racism. You got to bring it on it's satanic. And you mentioned earlier that's all it is satanic.
Right. What you think? You know what, man? There's been a lot of rumors. You ever heard? Now this is kind of taking it out of left field, man. But you ever heard anything about any reptile aliens?
Reptile aliens?
There's been a lot of rumors, man, over the years. I mean, for a long time that there's creatures, basically demons. They look like reptile people, like snake. They got 2 arms and 2 legs like us, but instead of being human, they look reptilian, and they live underneath Los Angeles. I'm not making it up, man. They even had a newspaper article back in the 30s where people were saying, I mean, it sounds crazy, but I'm just wondering, have you ever heard anything like that?
No, I heard about underground cities and things of that nature.
Right.
I've read it. I've never heard of that. I just feel sarcastic and it's satanic at the same time. But it's true though. I mean, you have some people that look at the guy that predicted about the 11 attacks and all that. They killed him. He talked about aliens and all that kind of stuff. He served over in the Air Force. He wrote that book, The White Horse.
Oh, yeah, that's the book. I forget. William Cooper.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Professor Griff was talking about that. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, the underground cities. You think that's real?
Sure I do. I think you have to be prepared. You know, they can be prepared just in case they want to come over here and throw the chemical bombs or, for terrorists. I think they're getting prepared for it. I think one of the cities they found a hole in the ground, either Arizona or somewhere like that, close out here, Midwest, somewhere close. That they were building underground cities and things of that nature. Oh yeah.
I think a lot of the dope that gets brought in from Mexico, they do it underground.
Yes, not everything. The migration and all of that.
Right, right. Yeah, and when they say people go missing, they might not really be missing. They might be underground. That they might want to be missing. They might be underground somewhere in one of them places. You know what I mean?
Right. What did Tupac talked about all of it, didn't he? Before he talked about death so much. He talked about what's the guy that ran off and went to the desert and got lost?
I don't remember.
Machiavelli or someone of that nature.
Oh yeah, Machiavelli was a dude who faked his death.
Right. So he talked about it a lot.
You think Tupac's still alive, or you think he's dead?
You know, I'll tell you one thing. I know there's a lot of reasons to think both ways, you know.
Right.
But personally, I don't really think it matters really to me, not to me.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I think his legacy still exists, and we can learn from that. But as far as trying to say that he's here again, like the story of Christ, no, I don't know. I don't think so. I think when you're gone, you're gone.
Right. I feel you on that. It's Los Angeles, man, has been through a lot of stuff. Like just the city of Los Angeles. Even when you were growing up, remember that Manson thing that happened? The movie star Sharon Tate. They supposedly the movie star.
Oh yeah.
Got,
Yes, sir. Yes, yeah.
I remember Birdman Davis or Batman Davis.
Yeah.
He said he met Manson in jail back in '69.
Yeah, he probably did. Well, he could have been in '59 because he's my age.
No,
'69.
69. Yeah. I said.
That murder happened when in 72, 73.
69. 19.
69.
Yeah, and he said he met him in jail, so maybe he met him in 1970 or something in the county.
He probably has. I don't think Batman, because I think I'll be 60 this year, so I don't know if Batman was either Raymond or Stanley T. Williams' age. He may have, because he was in Soledad. They had him in Soledad. I know that. They had him in Soledad. They had him in the North Yard, so he was in the main population. And I heard they treated him with some he had a little status there.
Yeah. But back in like '69 and '70, did you saw a lot of hippies and stuff out there in LA? They had come through.
Yeah. It was that time. It was that time back in the city. Because I seen the whole migration come. They seen up in San Francisco and all of north of California, But basically, it got around. It got into LA, Yeah, I saw those years. I was just a youngster then.
Right. Did people like at that time? At that time, was there a lot more like? I mean, there might have been more physical fights, but as far as shootings and stuff, was it? You think it didn't really get bad until the '80s?
It didn't really get bad into the '70s. Like I told you, that's how our rivals fought against us through guns because there were so many of us. But it didn't really get bad until the drugs came out.
Mm-hmm.
When the crack cocaine came, that's when you can get your own boys, get your own sack, and protect
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Man, what do you think? Like, you're one of the few people out there really talking though. Like, there's not that many people around anymore who had went through all that, who were, who had spent time with Raymond Washington and knew these people intimately. Like, now it's getting kind of slim, don't you think?
Yeah, well, it's only a few of them left, and those are left either in prison or either they died. They died. We all died, but when Melvin Hardy and Melvin Hardy, he's one of the co-founders and leaders of the original Crips. In '71, and he's dying of cancer now. So he's about the last one. And the guys that ran with us, but out of the founders and leaders and the co-founders, I'm almost said I'm only one left.
Yeah. The History Channel made. I saw somebody took a video camera and went to Compton and they videotaped a set in Compton called the Casia Block, Compton Crips.
Cajun Block.
Yeah, they got famous off of that. They got them all on. They had them up there with you, all on the History Channel and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, just did that recently, didn't they?
Yeah, in the last couple years.
Yeah, just did that recently.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, people are seeing this stuff on the History Channel and they're seeing it, but they don't have any history of it really. Like when you talk about Raymond Washington, they see a bunch of people on TV with in 2016 or something, but they have no idea of who Raymond Washington is or who you are or anything like that. It's kind of, I don't know. It's a big generation gap.
Yes, big generation gap because of the drugs and the killings and all that, and time itself. Because I'll be 60 this year. And I started at 14 years old as a Crip. So that's like almost 50 years in itself. Almost, a couple years, do or die. It's like 50 years.
Right.
Decades.
And the lack of knowledge too, man. Like a lot of people, if you ask a lot of people who they got, a lot of people like the rappers and stuff, and people involved, they're banging. They don't really. It seems like they don't really have any knowledge of their history.
No, not at all. They don't even know what the Constitution is. They don't even know what we call each other cuz. They don't even know whether the word Cribs or Crip. Was it a misunderstanding, or was it because when Washington started the Cribs, CRIBS, and we started saying Crips, and started wearing canes, and started wearing H2Cs, and started the tie, dress tie, suits, tailor suits, and Levi's, and jeans, and biscuits, and all that. We started that, but they want to say that because of the lady of murder, that they misspelled the name wrong to the media, but no, we named ourselves Crips in 1971.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and Crips means Community Revolution and Progress Services. It means that we're protecting and defending our people and our homeland and our church, from the beginning.
Right. Hey, I was gonna say, is it true that like the Pyru Street in Compton, didn't that used to be people? Didn't they used to wear blue? Didn't they start off being Crips at one time?
Well, everybody used to say blood at one time too, when there was the civil rights movement. So
Right. Yeah.
Well, they were an alliance with Crips in 1971 and 72, and the Barefoot Street was putting in Cam and Terry Carter and all those guys. We all started off, came together, and we had to share the same skate rink together. We had to share the Watch Summer Festival with Rogers Park. We had to share all these events together, and along the way,
Yeah. You know what, man? I was listening, like when I was growing up, I used to listen to a lot of rappers. Like they had a rapper named Mac 10 when I was growing up, and as I got older, I was hearing they were on the he was saying he was supposed to be from Queen Street and all that stuff, and then but I realized as I got older, the people over there from Queen Street, they were saying that he's not really from there, and he just on the album saying that, but he ain't really from there. He wasn't really.
Same thing should name. Yes, like him, he came Pyro. You know, same thing.
But he went to college. He was really in college though. That's.
Yeah, he was in college. My man, you know, with all the money, and he invested, you know. So Sugar's under investigation for Biggie's murder, Tupac's, and a whole bunch of other stuff. You know.
Right.
Sugar's just as worse as Freeway Rick was with the drug cartel. You know.
What? Like a lot of these, it seems like people like you, the real people, you don't, you know what I mean? They didn't give you what they were supposed to give you, but a lot of the fake people be getting record deals and movies and shit, and then when you backtrack their history and you find out, and you go back to the area they were from, the people tell you they weren't even, like, the people will tell you they weren't even banging or nothing. They weren't even there. The only time they were banging is when they were banging in somebody's backyard somewhere at a party.
Right.
You know? Right.
The same thing about Tookie. You know, they took all that. They made a big thing out of him. They made a big J off him by saying he was a leader of the West Side Crips, which he come back to us and we say, no, that's not true. You know, but they used him, make books on for him and everything else. You know, and his family didn't even get anything, so they used him. So to me, he went out like a martyr. You know, he went out and he died what he believed in, even if he did commit the murders and under the condition that he was under drugs or whatever. You know, but he still was being under a victim of oppression in the ghetto. To me,
I think I don't want nobody to quote me on this, but I think with Tookie, because he was big and he lifted weights and he was strong, he just fit the image profile real good of the street. Yeah, I think it was more with. Yeah.
Okay.
I was
not as good as you did, because I had you on the speaker.
Right. I was gonna say with Tookie, man, it seems like because he was big and strong and lifted weights. It seems like with him it was more of an image. Like they blew him up because of the image.
His image. That's what they did. Because see, in 1972, because Tookie gave his last meeting in our original park, which was St. Eugene's Park. That's where he wrote this book at when the rival family chain gang ran us away from their park by shooting at us. And we ended up at our original park, which is St. Andrews. He wrote about that in his book. You know, but the last, like I said, he was opposed to the grip application and turf off. He was opposed to Washington's legacy about us expanding with new name different Turks expanding near and abroad. That's why today, right now, the grip constitution that was written and protocol by Washington in 1972 that was handed down for us to go ahead and call ourselves Crips instead of Cribs and do the grip application and expand under his legacy. And it went on. Tookie was against that because he wanted to be the sole leader of the West Side Crips. And he wasn't. Everybody as we expanded and turfed off the new name, different Turks, Crip Turks, they had their own leaders.
And Raymond Washington is the one who did a lot of the majority of the work. Didn't he go to all these different neighborhoods and have to fight people and all this shit to put it together?
Well, Raymond Washington, he didn't really have to do that, but you can say that, but he had to do that with us though. We bought the whole West Side, and when
Yeah, he didn't do that. You guys were already down. You guys were already in the car. You know, you didn't have to.
Yeah.
You didn't have to
It
go
was
through.
already at the
You didn't have to go through all that. You were already. You know, you were already on front stage. But but I wonder though, man. He ended up dying, and it seems like nobody really knows. It seems like his death is.
You know,
I think the police might have did it myself, but
that's what we're saying. You know, that's what we're saying because if they caught the people who did it and they let them go because there wasn't enough evidence, they didn't have any shotgun powder burns, and they let them go. So that tells you either they were involved in it or they done it.
right. And then on top of that, man, they act like they don't even want to talk about Raymond Washington like on the history. I mean, they act like they're scared to bring him up because you can't even. They try to hide. They don't even want people to know, to see his birth certificate or nothing, man. They try to make it they try to make it seem like he didn't even exist or something, like it was all Tookie.
Right, and it wasn't Tookie at all.
Right.
Matter of fact, when we first started cripping you on the West Side, Tookie wasn't at the original meeting. He hadn't even got out of camp yet, out of juvenile hall camp yet. You know, because like I said, they was 17 and going on 18. Him and Raymond and most all the elder original Crips, and we were still like 14 and 15 years old at best. At best, you know.
Right.
So.
Hey man, what do you think of the Grim Sleeper? Did you see that? The Grim
Sleeper, the one that saw the killing?
Yeah, what do you like that kind of that tripped me out when I saw that, and it seemed something just seemed wrong with that case, man. I don't know what it is, but something just rubbed me like something doesn't sound right.
You want to noticeable. They didn't recognize you was right in front of their nose.
Right.
Doing that. They going to show you how much control the police have over the prostitution, the stroll in the streets. How much control that they have. He was right in front of their nose doing the mechanic work, for years. Lived in the community.
Right.
People knew him, and he did it for years.
Right. Yeah, that was a trip, man. I saw that on they had a special about that on the I don't know if it was Discovery Channel or what channel, but they had a big thing about it where it was on TV.
Yes. Well, the one thing I noticed, I know that summertime gives the police the biggest opportunity, to keep a lot of killing and shooting going on, and that's exactly what's happened. Sirens from the time that they break to a set spine again, So that's how it is. It's turning into a police state. And now that the feds have really came in and got them involved, and like they do with gangs and stuff like that, like they did with the death of Malcolm X, like they did with the death of Martin Luther King, like they did with the death of the Kennedy brothers and all that. They have really stepped in and stepped up. So this is really turning into a police state. I think it had to be 10 years ago when they had Newton Street, not Newton Street, but the police station. There was an investigation for drug transaction and some of everything. So this has been going on with the police. It's turning into a martial state, police state. That's what it's turning into.
And they were doing it. I remember I saw a thing on the news from the 80s where they had like army tanks. They looked like army tanks. They were knocking down houses, dope houses and stuff. Yeah.
Because the battle,
yeah.
They bring the dope, they bring the guns, and they bring all that in. Then they keep their jobs, by blowing everything up. All the time. That's why I call it conspiracy of genocide. That's
Right.
all it is.
That's what it's like how can you spend all that money on all this stuff, but then you can't try to help somebody get a job or something.
Not at all.
Like they spent $3 billion they spent $3 trillion, over $3 trillion, way over $3 trillion. It's way over $3 trillion now over there in the Middle East with all in Afghanistan, Iraq, and they spent over $3 trillion over there, man. And you got people over here can't even work, Oh yeah,
Starving.
people over here. There's people over here that starving, can't even can't even do nothing, man. And they spent trillions of dollars way over on the other side of the world. I don't understand why. I don't understand that, man.
Well, I call it reform slavery. That's all it is. Back in slavery, they had it's reformed. The slavery houses and the slavery plantations, all that's reformed now into the ghettos. And it's all about control of population and everything the powers that do it, everything that they do. And they're doing a hell of a job at it. By keeping us oppressed.
And they don't even. And now you can't even be successful unless you're gay. I swear to God. When you
yes, it's the thing.
Like the rapper, yeah, the actors and the rappers and all that stuff. If they want to get a major deal in Hollywood, they got to do some gay stuff just to get it.
Yeah, they got to do some of that. Well, I look at it like this here. You look at the Roman Empire, as I think it still exists. If you go up into the courtrooms, you see up in the back of the judges' chambers, the Roman emblem and all that.
Yep.
And I think Numerati and all those different sex organizations come from all that. It comes from Caesar. And they say Caesar was a homosexual. If you look at some of the old movies and stuff like that, you can tell by his era, that he was gay. And that's what runs the law system right now. The priests, even the priests nowadays, they're committing child molestation all across the world. What happens to them? The system tell them handle that. They transport them somewhere else.
Yep. And you know what? I was looking back at old pictures of like the presidents and stuff from like the 1700s and stuff, and they all had on wigs like women.
Yes. And that's what I be trying to tell these young people, like showing the ass, showing the split of your ass, you wearing Tudor rings. That's homosexuality.
Right.
You go to the prisons and stuff like that. The youth have been so overswung. The baby era, the crack era. That's what we're dealing with right now. That's exactly what we're dealing with right now. So they all messed up. They wear Tudor rings.
They even tried to create. They tried to create a homosexual set of the Crips, man. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
That's trip.
I went down it.
Called the Rainbow Crips, man. Did you hear that? Did you hear?
Where they located? That's news to me.
They're supposed to be in Hollywood. I said those aren't no damn Crips. Those are homosexuals,
No,
man.
Straight homosexual.
Yeah, I said that's plagiarism, man. You can't use that name to you know what I mean?
No. I can see Playboy Crips, gangster Crips, the man ass and all that kind of stuff. I can't see the homosexuality. It's a whole new stage of things.
I think that's Hollywood. I think that's Hollywood who did that because Hollywood tries to they come out in movies like Boys in the Hood and Menace Society. They make the most money off the gangbanging image. They make millions off that, man.
Oh yes. And that's why I was talking about Donald Goins, all his books and all his rights. They have all the rights to all of this stuff. And all it talks about is what goes on in the ghettos. Certain political books, War Son, War Daughter, all these different books. And they have taken them and reformed all of it and made them out of the Willie Lynch story and all these different stories, all these plots they have to work with us, the conspiracy of genocide. All this is involved in all of it at once. And like you say, it's Satanism. That's what it is.
Exactly. Well, hey man, I don't want to hold you over no longer. We've been on here for 40-something minutes. I was gonna say, man, why don't we try to work towards something? We'll do something next month.
Okay, let's go ahead then, Jameel. Yeah, it was nice talking to you, and hope everything comes out okay.
Yeah, man, you got my number, man. So if anything, something comes up or something, let me know. Okay.
And I'll send you the first value, and I'll sign it. Hopefully, I can be able to come out there and do a book. Maybe we can get something together where I can come out there and do a book writing, and I'll talk to you out there, talk to the kids, maybe we can do something like that.
Yeah, that sounds cool, man.
Yeah, maybe we can do something like that. And maybe, like I really got into having, gang summits and stuff like that in different states in the past. I like to do something like that, coming here soon.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's definitely sounds good, man. We'll definitely have to keep the ball rolling, and we'll talk next month, and we'll put some. We'll work on trying to put something together.
Sounds good. Let's do that, Jameel. So it's good talking to you, and God bless you.
All right, all right, man. You too, man. I look forward to talking to you again.